Listen. I'm gonna say this to you here. Last night, watching the Joker and doing what he did and delivering a championship. That was a hard fought basketball game last night. Really was. And it was really cool seeing the Denver Nugget fans and some of the. I love that the Nuggets, and I love what Stan Kroenke did too by bringing some of the veteran guys from the past that had played up there. It's been a great organization. Shit, the Nuggets, my entire life, the Nuggets have been a very, very competitive organization for my almost my entire life. They've always been competitive, but finally now they win a championship. And let's get our Hall of Famers' thoughts on the finals, Bill. Rick Barry, and get his thoughts here on what he saw last night as they take it 4-1 and they are crowned NBA champions. Appreciate it. Rick, what was your takeaway from the series last night?
Well, Denver showed that, they're the better team without question. I mean, think about it. When's a team that you've seen playing in the NBA, especially in a playoff game, shoot under 20% from three-point range and win? Yeah, I mean, it was two of the worst shooting. It might have been I don't know if there's ever been a playoff game that's had two teams shoot as badly as they did from three-point range. And then Denver also shot 50-something% from the free throw line, and they won the basketball game. They're just a better basketball team. They have one of the best players in the league who should have won the MVP. I get back to that again. Should have been MVP of the Western Conference. Then they could have had Embiid be the Eastern Conference MVP. But anybody that thought that he wasn't the most valuable player in the league, even with the unbalanced schedule, it's crazy. I mean, the guy set a record. First player ever, a center, right, to lead the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, the guy is a very special player, and I just love watching him play. I really do. He just does so many things. He creates so many problems for the other team defensively. And what happened with Denver is Denver had other people stepping up, getting the job done. Gordon, Porter Jr., other guys. I mean, they just had a better basketball team. That's it. That's a pretty simple thing.
Rick, so in your opinion, Joker's better than Embiid?
If I had to have one or the other player to play with, I'd be happy to play with either one, but I would want to play with the Joker because of his passing skills.
Doesn't it seem, too, that he makes the other guys around him better? I mean, I'm not saying – listen, Joel is a talent, like you've said, and you've said this numerous times. This guy's a special talent, and he's one of the best perimeter shooting guys and rebounding guys. He's got the entire game. So it's not so much – I'm just trying to get a place where – now we start to look at a guy with 2 MVP awards, a Bill Russell award, an NBA Finals. I mean, he's carving out a niche as one of the best 5 guys that we've seen in the last 20 years, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, for his time right now, I think he's the ultimate player, and it's his passing that differentiates him. But he can do everything. He's inside. He's got nice moves. He's not super fast. He's not super athletic, but he's really good at what he does in all facets of the game. He's a good free throw shooter as well. But his passing is superb. His feel for the game is just incredible. And as a teammate, when you play with someone like that, it's like playing with a great point guard. I mean, when I first came in the league, I was used to having the ball and scored a lot of points in college. I came into the pros my first year. I had a great guard by the name of Guy Rogers, one of the best assist players from Temple University. And so what did I do? I ran my ass off. I got open. I set guys up because why? I knew if I got open, Guy wants assist and he's going to get the ball to me. And so with a guy like the Joker, you just work. If you're smart, you work at your craft. You learn how to set your people up. You learn how to make the back cuts. And look at the combination between he and Gordon, what they had with the lobs for the dunks to the basket. And the Joker throwing the kind of passes that he throws for a guy his size. It's so much fun to watch because, call me a purist if you want, this is the way the game was designed to be played. And when you have an opportunity to play it that way or to watch it when it's being played that way, I think is special.
Rick, do you think he's a better passing big man than Bill Walton?
Bill Walton was a great passing big man, but the Joker's he's pretty special. Bill's a good friend, and I loved him. He was one of the best passing big men without question, getting it out off the break or whatever. But the Joker is right there. I mean, maybe even a little bit beyond, even a little bit more flair to his passes than Bill. But yeah, he's right in that category, certainly. I mean, I would have to say, other big men, Kareem passed the ball well. I mean, Wilt passed the Wilt led the league in assist one year when he played with the Lakers and had the other people around him. So there's been a lot of good ones, but I don't know if I've seen one better than Joker.
Let's do this here also. Do you agree Jimmy Butler just ran out of gas? And again, too, Rick, I said this last time that we talked. To me, it looked like the Miami Heat were like one of those NCAA teams that were making an historic run. But the difference there is it's a one and done. And to win 4-7, to try to do that in an NBA Finals is almost impossible when the other team, because always the better team wins, usually in a 7-game series. You think Butler just ran out of gas?
Well, the thing that surprised me,
or they exposed them.
Well, no, I don't know about exposing him. I mean, he just had some couple of tough games playing, but he damn near almost could pull it off at the end of this one. I mean, but he had been so passive. I don't understand. When you're struggling a little bit, you try to get to the free throw line and try to do a few other things. But at the end, I mean, what did he score? 11, 13 points in a row or some crazy number and all to keep him in there and even give him a lead, occasional lead. But then he came up a little short. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I mean, he was asking a lot of him to have to do it at that time. But why he waited to that late in that circumstance, maybe because his ankle was really bothering him a lot because you could tell he wasn't really normal. And that could have an impact on your shooting, especially if you're shooting jumpers. But to his credit, he did give it everything he had at the end to try to see if he could pull it out. And maybe he was trying to save himself for that since they were close enough to do it. I don't know. Only Jimmy can answer that because he's the only one that knows how much his physical incapacity was impacting him.
Rick, I said this, and I actually posted this on my Twitter as well. And you tell me if you think that this is a crazy comment that I made. When I started hearing the criticism of Butler, I went, I hear everyone always raving about Carmelo Anthony and how great a basketball player he was. And I'm like this, what did Carmelo Anthony ever do for his team? I don't remember him carrying teams on his back like this guy Butler did with 3 undrafted guys that were in the starting lineup at one time in the playoffs. This guy's gone to 2 NBA Finals. And if you're asking me, the guy that I think has had a career where you look at the impact that he's had on basketball teams winning games, Jimmy Butler's superior. Carmelo Anthony, his greatest accomplishments are in the Olympics and in college, not the NBA. Rick, just because you're a great scorer, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to look at what you did. You were not only a great scorer, but you led great teams. Am I crazy with how I'm looking at this?
No, I would agree with your assessment that Jimmy has done more to help a team to achieve what they've achieved than Carmelo did, probably in that regard. He really has had some outstanding games, outstanding series that he's played in. And I don't see he was hurt. I mean, you could tell he hurt his ankle. I mean, he's not at 100%. And yet he still almost found a way to try to pull things off at the end. One of the things that hurt the Miami Heat more than anything else is that they were horrible shooting 3-pointers, not as bad as Denver, 25-something% and 16. I mean, that was mind-numbing to me. I mean, how these guys are I could have gone out there and shot that badly at my age. But missing Hero hurt them. Hero's an important part. Here's a guy who gets you 20, 30 points who can shoot the ball as well. And so not having him as part of their normal rotation, I think impacted them. They would be a better team if he were healthy and could have played for them, mainly because of his ability to knock down the 3-point shot consistently. But again, you don't win championships with one player. Why do people keep getting caught up on this? One guy doesn't win in basketball, okay? I don't care how freaking great he is. You don't win if your teammates don't come through for you and play at a level necessary defensively, especially, and also stepping up offensively to help you get the victories. And Denver's guys did a better job of doing that than Miami's guys. It was really kind of that simple. I mean, when necessary, they had people come in and play and get them 20 points, which maybe was unexpected. Miami didn't have as many guys that were capable of doing that. Bam was probably the most consistent player on their team and did a terrific job. Plus, he had the unenviable task of having to guard the Joker on top of it. So And Jimmy did as well as he could possibly do, but he wasn't 100%. And so that had an impact on it as well. Give Miami so much credit. I mean, this is a team to get as far as they did and as close as they did, because a couple of games could have gone either way. They did a great job. Eric did a terrific job working with the talent that he had under the circumstances that existed. And unfortunately for the Miami Heat, the team as a whole didn't have enough guys stepping up to get the job done like Denver did.
Two last questions for you here, Rick. What you just said, I want to expand on a little bit when you said you can't win an NBA championship with one guy. You have to have a couple guys. Don't you think today's mentality, though, and how some of these guys look at the league, they think you need a super three? Are you talking more about having role players like the Jordan teams where one guy was designated to be this guy, which was Pippen. One guy was designated, knew his role was to rebound and play defense. The other guys were sharpshooters. I mean, even look at the Isaiah Thomas teams. Isaiah is probably the only guy that played with truly no stars outside of Joe Dumars, and everyone was a role player on those Pistons teams that he played on. I mean, Dumars was a fine ball player. I'm not taking anything away from it. The rest of them were role guys, though. Isaiah played with really one guy. But isn't that kind of what you're saying? You don't have to have three superstars. You have to have guys that are role players to win in the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you have to have a team. First of all, that's committed to the defensive end of the court. I say this all the time. Defense does not win championships by itself. But you don't win championships if you don't play good defense, okay? You still have to have the offense, and you still have to have other guys stepping up to get the job done for you. I mean, in our case, I had a couple of guys that were nice players during their career. At the end of the career, Jeff Mullins and Bill Bridges, and everybody else was, like you just said, a role player. And we had two young players, two rookies, Phil Smith and Jamal, who was Keith Wilkes at the time, and he was Rookie of the Year. But you still have to have someone else coming in and be able to get you the 20 points or the 25 points. And hopefully, you have one player who can be relatively consistent, which I was that season. I was pretty consistent. I was always told that you may have 8 to 10 games during a season when you're struggling offensively. You have to find other ways to contribute. And I heard Coach Malone say the same thing. Hey, if a guy's going bad, you got to do something else to help your team out. You got to find a way to contribute to justify being out there on the court. You're having a bad day. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Go get some more rebounds. Go play better defense. Get some steals. Do something to help your teammates out. And so this is what I think the Nuggets did. And when you heard about it, I think one of the great comments that I heard from a couple of different people, the players didn't play to win the championship. They weren't playing for themselves. They were playing for their teammates. They were playing for each other. I thought that was a brilliant statement that really told you a lot about this Denver Nuggets basketball team, that credit their front office and their ownership for having the patience to stick with things. They could easily have fired Malone 2 seasons ago when they had that really tough season. And then they had the injuries, Porter Jr., and then he winds up coming back. And they were very, very supportive of him. And the same thing with Murray. That's the way an organization needs to be run. And then he just kept adding other pieces and doing the things necessary to put together a cohesive unit that can play the game the way it should be played on both ends of the court. It's fun to watch that. And this is why I liked them. This is why I was pulling for them. I think Miami tried to do that as well. Miami just didn't have the same kind of personnel that Denver had.
Rick, how do scouts miss a guy like the Joker where he's drafted in the set? How do you miss a guy like that? Is
because
he's a European guy?
I get so these guys I know hate me somewhat, but I'm not naming names. But there obviously are guys who are scouts in the NBA who wouldn't know real talent if it walked up and bit them in the ass. Okay, I'm serious. I mean, they get so hung up on athleticism. That's probably one of the reasons why the Joker didn't get picked. Shit, you go watch the Joker player. You're going to be impressed with his athleticism?
He can't jump over a stack of quarters,
Give
Rick.
me a freaking break. He gets airsick if he gets over 6 inches, okay? So here's the thing. Look for the guy who has a natural feel for the game. If you watch the Joker play, the first thing you see is, oh my God, does this guy have a feel for the game? Does he see the court? I mean, this is what should be the number one priority for every scout going out there. It shouldn't be a huge mystery. Does he have a natural feel for the game? Because if he has some shortcomings in other areas, you can teach him to get better with those things. You can teach him to become a better shooter. You can become a better ball handler. You can work in those things, but you can't learn how to have a feel for the game.
Absolutely. Rick, last question for you here. You broached it a little bit last week, but it looks like now it's coming down in the next 2 days here on John Morant. If they suspend him 25 games, now there's something here with the union and the Players Association. You know, if he misses a lot of games and he misses a high percentage of games, there's a chance the max contract then is an effect on that. How much do you think the Players Association is going to fight this? Because, again, Rick, you know, we're talking about a man's livelihood. We're talking about the image of the league. We're talking about representing the NBA. Like, how, in your opinion, where should the union come down and what should the NBA do? Because it's a pretty tough situation here. Because if you suspend him, you financially hurt him. And does he need that? I'm saying, no. I'm with you.
No. Stop.
But you know the Players Association is going to fire back at this.
Yeah, but hold on. Wait a second. Embiid is played for a lively. You must be joking with the kind of money that he makes. If you took away half of his freaking salary, he's got more money than most people will make in a freaking lifetime. I mean, seriously, that's not even a freaking factor. The biggest factor is knowing all of the details and the particulars, which I don't have. I'm not privy to.
I don't either.
I don't know everything. If you knew everything, the fact that he was given the opportunity to get his act together with a kind of a slap on the hands the last time, and then to go out and do what he did again, he's got to grow up, okay? He's got to get smarter. He got rid of those people who are hanging around with him, because if you're looking out for your friend, you don't let him do dumb things like that, okay? And I hate to see the fact that he's not going to play, because he's a fun guy to watch play. But the Players Association has got to be supportive of the NBA in this, you know, unless it's something totally crazy. I mean, I don't think, you know, a whole season or something of that nature. It's not like he's on drugs or doing something, but the image is important. This guy was going around with a gun waving around doing stuff. I mean, come on. That is detrimental to the NBA and the image the NBA wants to portray. And so it's going to be a severe penalty without question. Hopefully it'll be the last time they'll have to do something like this with him, and he'll come to his senses and grow up and act like a mature individual and do intelligent things out there and go out and play the sport that he's been so blessed with unbelievable talent, and be able to continually make ridiculous amounts of money to help his family and do things for other people. I'm hoping that's what the case is. But I will be very disappointed in the Players Association if they take a strong stand because they give him a severe penalty. He deserves a severe penalty.
Okay. Hey, Rick, tell folks what you're working on.
Oh, just, you know, okay. Very simply, here's the code, RB24, my initials, small r, small b, 24. Medicilleaf.com, MEDICILEAF. ALOMD.com, ALOEMD.com, and GoSleeves.com. I have other things I'm doing as well, but everything that's there, that code will get you discounts. It's cannabinoid products that I hate to think about what my life would be like without them, because they just help so much with inflammation and things of that nature in my knee with playing pickleball. And, you know, I mean, they have tape built into it. They have all in the Go Sleeves. It's just awesome stuff. Absolutely awesome products. So try it. Kinesio tapes built into them. Amazing product. Ultimate Recovery X. I have seen firsthand people at the pickleball tournaments when they're at the booth at all coming back and saying, oh my God, I can't believe this stuff works so well. So hopefully it'll work for you as well as it works for me. Again, ALOMD.com, Medicilleaf.com, GoSleeves.com, RB24 is the code. Check it out. And I hope they work for you. And it was fun to see Denver get their opportunity to be a champion in a city that's a great sports city. Denver's a great sports city, and they've had great hockey teams and great football teams, obviously. And they used to actually have a great lacrosse team in the professional lacrosse. I went up there to watch them play at times. So anyway, I wish everybody just a blessed summer. Hopefully everything continues to go well, and it's going to be fun to see what happens, because a lot of stuff is going to happen with a lot of teams, with a lot of decisions to be made. And it may be like you got the guy out selling before they told me I couldn't do it my freshman year in Miami. Hey, you got your program here. I was selling programs at the football game. They said we couldn't do that because you can't tell the players without a program. That's probably going to be the case this offseason. I think there may be a lot of really interesting moves being made by teams.
The Sixers keep Harden.
I personally, I wouldn't, not for a max contract. I wouldn't do that. I just think that's I think there's other people out there that can do something for you. You can bring a bunch of good people in with the kind of money that you'd have to pay, and he's a hell of a talent. There's no question about it. But for a max contract, I wouldn't do it. Not at this stage of his career.
Rick, travel safe, my friend. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
All the best. Take care.
You got it. That's my friend Rick Barry, legendary Hall of Famer, one of the top 20 players in the history of the National Basketball Association. Great stuff there. Hit the like button.